Within this car, a family is burning alive. This is a firestorm.
So in 1965, BBC TV commissioned director Peter Watkins to make a newsreel-style docu-drama about the threat and mechanics of a hypothetical nuclear attack on the United Kingdom. Now, what Watkins delivered was so horrific and remains so over 50 years later that it was immediately banned from its planned broadcast date of the 6th of October 1965. Fortunately, though, it would get a theatrical release and even go on to win 1967's Best Documentary Oscar, which I'll discuss a little later in the video. Now, if you're familiar with 1984's more widely known Threads, which is kind of a big budget update of the war game, I think that's fair to say, then you'll know to expect a hard-hitting and very real feeling ordeal, but certainly an important one, and one that's a great time capsule. Let's take a look. So running at a very tight 50 minutes and featuring narration from both Peter Graham and Michael Aspel, the war game is very much a TV movie, or docudrama to more accurately title it. And I'm not sure what the BBC thought they were getting when they commissioned it, but what it is, or what it does, is highlight how the government has no realistic plan to deal with a nuclear attack. I'm pretty certain that no administration would like to admit such a thing and have the public scared witless. Now, the war game could and would be denied broadcast, but not a theatrical release, and so out in the world it went, where it garnered much praise. Amazingly, it wouldn't actually be broadcast in the UK until July 1985. So we do get a little bit of an initial story set up to begin with here. We have the Chinese invading South Vietnam, prompting the United States to authorise the use of tactical nuclear warfare. Now, this in turn prompts a threat from the Soviets and East Germans to invade West Berlin if the United States doesn't withdraw from that decision. So having already been told that Russia has a number of strategic targets across the UK, we get a look at something that I don't think I'd seen before. So during World War II history class, I've always seen the evacuation of children from major cities into safer rural areas in an almost rose-tinted way. C.S. Lewis's Narnia movies spring to mind. But here we see locals literally forced to shelter groups of people against their will, regardless of whether they have the room or financial means to do so.
8? I'm not having 8.
Sorry, sir, you've got to take 8.
I don't want to. I'm not having 8. I haven't got enough food in there for 8.
Don't argue.
But I warn you that under the emergency regulations, with 4 rooms and a kitchen, you can be forced to take 8 people. Bloody hell.
So as tension rises, ration cards are issued and public bewilderment increases, it's tragically funny to learn that a booklet detailing the dangers of nuclear war is now being given away. A booklet that had been available for a few years previously but didn't sell very well. How surprising. Now guys, I'm Stephen at Real Classic Film Reviews. I really do appreciate you clicking on the video. It'd mean a great deal to me if, while you were here, you could click that little like button below and maybe that subscribe button just next to it. It does help these videos get out there and reach more people, and so, with that being said. So the war game expertly blurs the line between documentary and drama, featuring on-camera interviews with members of the public that seem as real as anything you'll see on the news, due to the entire cast being populated with non-actors, each of them highlighting their forgivable ignorance to what can and unfortunately will unfold. Then the bombs drop.
This little boy has received severe retinal burns from an explosion 27 miles away.
And this is where the war game really delivers. Watkins uses handheld cameras to create absolute chaos on a tiny budget. Bodies blast across the screen in 100-mile-per-hour firestorm winds. Children's eyes are burned out. Ordinary citizens are either incinerated or turned into nightmarish versions of themselves, all wounds and smashed teeth. And what the film does is show us that with a nuclear detonation of this kind, it's after the blast that the true horrors really begin. And that's the operative word here, because what follows is so dire and without hope that it puts many of the horror movies you may have already seen to shame. Here, as fires burn out of control, you get charred and twisted bodies lying in the streets, and as disease and starvation set in, law and order breaks down.
What you are seeing now is another possible part of nuclear war. An armed police squad helping the overburdened doctors to relieve the misery of those in Category 3.
Now, scenes of police executing protesters and looters are so real that the film at times descends into a kind of watch through your fingers snuff movie. I know what you're thinking. I can't wait to watch this downer of a film, but it's such an important watch and so fascinating its depiction of military escalation juxtaposed with the effortless collapse of society that surely it's obvious that a policy of mutually assured destruction is just pretty nuts. Like I mentioned, despite being completely fictional, it's a credit to its realism that it managed to sneak in and win a Best Documentary Oscar in 1967. The one and only time a work of fiction has done so, and something that led to the Academy changing the eligibility rules for that category from then on. Writer, director, producer Peter Watkins, he specialises in these kind of documentary drama hybrids. Even his feature-length efforts such as 1971's excellent Punishment Park are still pseudo-documentaries. His very public disapproval of the BBC not showing this film made him unwelcome there from pretty much then on. And he felt very strongly that the British public shouldn't be denied access to a very unpopular truth about the fragility of their daily lives. The War Game would make a yin-yang companion piece to Kubrick's Dr. Strangelove, where nuclear annihilation is played as light-hearted fun between military buffoons. That film may culminate in the accidental dropping of the bomb, but this one wipes the smile off your face by taking those distant stories of what happened in Hiroshima and in those firestorm cities of Hamburg and Dresden and dumping them into the suburbs of London. Go check it out.
Father, have mercy upon their souls, for they know not what they do.
Again. Fire.